No one stamping or shuffling, scarcely even breathing. A clock began to strike, somewhere close at hand, the chimes of midnight. And they came. They walked down the hill in a slow procession, all stepping gravely, all in time, filling the road 5 abreast. Bod knew them, or knew most of them. In the first row he recognized Mother Slaughter, and Josiah Worthington, and the old Earl, who had been wounded in the Crusades and came home to die, and Dr. Trefusis, all of them looking solemn and important. There were gasps from the people in the square. Someone began to cry, saying,
"Lord have mercy! It's a judgment on us, that's what it is."
Most of the people simply stared, as unsurprised as they would have been if this had happened in a dream. The dead walked on, row on row, until they reached the square. Josiah Worthington walked up the steps until he reached Mrs. Carraway, the Lady Mayoress. He extended his arm and said, loud enough that the whole square could hear him,
"Gracious lady, this I pray, join me in the macabre."
Mrs. Carraway hesitated. She glanced up at the man beside her for guidance. He wore a robe and pyjamas and slippers, and he had a white flower pinned to the lapel of his robe. He smiled and nodded to Mrs. Carraway.
"Of course."
She reached out her hand. As her fingers touched Josiah Worthington's, the music began once more. If the music Bod had heard until then was a prelude, it was a prelude no longer. This was the music they had all come to hear, a melody that plucked at their feet and fingers. They took hands, the living with the dead, and they began to dance. Bod saw Mother Slaughter dancing with the man in the turban, while the businessman was dancing with Louisa Bartleby. Mistress Owens smiled at Bod as she took the hand of the old newspaper seller, and Mr. Owens reached out and took the hand of a small girl, without condescension, and she took his hand, as if she had been waiting to dance with him her whole life. Then